because it's going through its most widespread and sustained protest since the ruling Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front came to power in 1991. Now, you might have heard in the news that last weekend dozens of people were killed in a stampede at a religious festival in the Oromia region. The festival has become a focus for anti-government protests, and protesters in the crowd from the Oromo ethnic group disrupted speeches by officials, crossing their wrists above their heads in what's now become a rather familiar gesture of defiance. Now, soldiers fired tear gas canisters. Television footage showed a wave of panic sweeping through the crowd, people running for cover, some of them falling into deep, muddy ditches. And according to official figures, at least 52 people died. The opposition says the figure is much higher. Ethiopia's prime minister then offered his condolences, and he blamed what he called the rioters for pre-planned mayhem. Now, with me here in the studio is former president of the state Supreme Court in Oromia and a current visiting fellow at the London School of Economics, Tecshale Abera. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, you fled the country 10 years ago because of violence against the Oromo people. What's going on right now? What's behind this current wave of protests?
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is going crazy now. It went beyond this Bishoftu area of that massacre.
What's the trigger? What's making people angry?
I think the trigger is, firstly, the government have been preparing to hijack that episode itself. They wanted to use that for political purpose, and there are many political officials like Ishetu Dase, namely, and many others who were trying to hijack it and use it for political purpose. It is completely a cultural, ritual, thanksgiving process led by Bagadas. They wanted to remove Bagadas who were culturally elected, nominated, and were authorized to do those kinds of things. They were accepted by the community and they were there to do that ritual. Rather, the government tried to change those and assign them.
So the government is politicizing religious observances. Can I ask you, though, it seems, I mean, the protests have been going on for 5 years at least, and it seems that protesters from different ethnic groups are now cooperating. Do you think this is going to pose a real challenge to Ethiopia's secretive government, or is it going to stay in the rural areas?
Yeah, not at all. It is not going to back down, as we see now. It's expanding from Oromia to neighboring countries. Before, the Oromos in different ethnic groups like Amaras couldn't cooperate. Now that barrier is broken down. TPLF has been doing a kind of very serious sort of planned divide and rule. Amaras were portrayed as a chauvinist government with planning to restore the previous imperial regime, which many ethnic groups in the south are opposed to, which was actually repressive everywhere, including in the Amara regional state, and that was not actually the intention of the Amaras. That is what they want, but TPLF government has been telling the Oromos and different ethnic groups that they are trying to restore that. And they are portraying the Oromos as if they are narrow nationalists bent down to eradicate, kill Amaras settling in Oromia. That was what was going on. That suspicion has been just fed into that system. That is what TPLF was doing for the last 25 or so years. Now that is broken.
Tecshale, let me bring in Christina and Wilf, because Christina, I know you've visited, you've worked in Ethiopia, and Wilf, I'm also curious about what the African view is of this situation, but I just wonder what your thoughts are as you...
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the previous president, Moses Sinai, was a kind of golden child of the international community. They were always sort of holding him up as a model, but the government, I mean, am I right in saying that there are no opposition MPs in parliament in Ethiopia today?
Yeah, exactly true. That's the right thing. You correctly said it out. Ethiopian government has been trying to open up in 2005. They tested for quite some time, 12-something years, and in 2005 they began kind of believe that the people are behind them, because people were silenced for 12 years and they began to believe that people are behind them. when it opened up, it turned out completely different. International observers were there, and when people chose in that election, in which sign of free election was going to take place, people chose completely different things. Outcome was different. And then they deployed the Agazi force. They killed, by their own admission, about 196 people, about more than 40 people from the capital city. That figure was really conservative. It is much more than that. More than 18,000 prisoners were caught from Addis Ababa and detained in a military camp 300 miles away from Addis Ababa, in which I was a president of Supreme Court. And I was told that Amaras are Amaras and they must be punished.
I mean, at the heart of this seems to be, a desire for more democracy, more inclusion. But I just wonder if Christina, do you think there is going to be any meaningful political change? Is that possible after 25 years of one party being in power?
It's difficult to see because it's very controlling, very secretive sort of government. But the Oromia group, am I right in saying 40% of the population is the biggest
nearly that,
group?
Not more than that. Really.
So, and working them with alliance with other ethnic groups, it is a really large number to be taking on the government.
Christina Tecshale Abera, thank you very much indeed. It's time now to talk